You're about to see why filing first matters. A leaked court docket dated August 19th claims Kanye West's team moved to end the marriage and hit Bianca with a breach of trust allegation, with a hearing penciled in for the very next day. Wild, right? But here's the twist. While the internet argues about whether the docket is real, the timeline leading up to it tells a story that's hard to ignore. Let's set the scene. For months, fans have been whiplashed between denial and drama. Back in February, multiple outlets said the couple was splitting. Then Ye's camp came out swinging, waving off the divorce rumors like smoke from a kitchen fire. People stopped asking for a minute. But the temperature never actually dropped. It just moved where the cameras couldn't see. Then came the lyric that hit like a confession. In April, Ye dropped a track called Bianca, pleading for her to come back. You don't write that if everything at home is picture perfect. You write it when you're losing the room. It sounded like a man bargaining with the past while the present slipped through his fingers. So, when a docket image starts ricocheting through group chats on August 19th, claiming Ye's team filed first and a hearing was set for tomorrow, the internet didn't blink. It clicked save. Because even if you're still on the fence about the document, the timeline stacks up. The whispers turned into lyrics, the lyrics became distance, and the distance, if this is legit, became paperwork. Now, let's talk about that phrase that lit up the screen, breach of trust. It sounds dramatic because it is, but what does it really mean? In family disputes, it can cover a lot of ground. Money moves, broken agreements, misuse of shared assets, secrets that change the foundation of a relationship. It's not a single bullet. It's a whole magazine of possible claims, some petty, some devastating. Here's why filing first in a case like this can be strategic. The first mover gets to frame the narrative. You don't just file, you define. You set the tone, we're the wronged party, and here's why. Even if the final outcome takes months, those first pages can shape public perception, impact negotiation, and freeze the other side into reacting instead of leading. In Hollywood, the first filing often becomes the headline everybody remembers. Make no mistake, Bianca has been painted as everything from Ye's muse to his enabler to his hostage, depending on who you follow. That's the chaos of celebrity narratives. But there's a quieter through line. She became the face of turbulence she didn't create. Her image was bait for outrage cycles. Her outfits were policy debates. Her silence was either dignity or complicity, depending on who needed clicks that day. When you sift past the noise, you find a young woman who learned very fast how expensive proximity to a global brand can be. Go back to February. The denial didn't fix the fracture. It just bought time. Sources teased payouts, NDAs, whisper agreements. Then the spring lyrics sounded like an open wound. By summer, the orbit around Ye was crowded with legal storms and old ghosts shaking his tree. Imagine trying to hold a marriage steady while the ground under it keeps moving. Even strong houses crack when the fault lines won't stop shifting. The hearing date, set for the day after the alleged filing, adds urgency. That's fast. Fast doesn't always mean staged. Sometimes it means the situation was prepped in silence and timed with precision. If you want to control the story, you move while the other side is still refreshing their phone. It's courtroom chess. Act, then ask forgiveness later in the news cycle. Here's where the power flips. If breach of trust is the card Ye's team played, Bianca's team can answer with discovery. Emails, agreements, financial trails, witness statements. The same receipts the internet loves become the exhibits a judge actually reads. And discovery isn't just about what you know you have, it's about what you make the other side admit exists. Fans will ask, why not just fix it? Because celebrity marriages aren't just vows, they're contracts wrapped around brands. Every apology has a price, every silence has a sponsor. The public sees a couple, the lawyers see a cap table with emotions. When you put art, commerce, and controversy into one pot, something's going to boil over. Let's center the hero here. Bianca's power move isn't a clapback post, it's boundaries. The strongest play against chaos is calm. She doesn't need to speak if the filings speak for her. If she shows up steady, documents in order, timeline tight, the internet will do the rest. Audiences don't actually require a perfect protagonist. They want someone who doesn't flinch when the villain overplays their hand. Now the villain. Ye is a culture engine. He turns turbulence into content better than almost anyone alive. But that talent has a shadow. When the controversy cycles stop feeding the brand and start feeding the court docket, the game changes. You can't outproduce a subpoena, you can't remix a filing date. And a judge doesn't care how many streams a lyric got if the numbers in the ledger don't reconcile. Let's talk leverage. Filing first with breach of trust tries to put Bianca on defense. but leverage cuts both ways. If she has receipts about finances, projects, or internal dynamics, she can flip that allegation into a map of control, pressure, or broken promises. In a public narrative, breach of trust is a headline. In a courtroom narrative, it's a checklist. Fans love a mid-video twist, so here it is. Even if the docket turns out mislabeled or premature, the damage is already done. You can't unleak a filing. The internet will remember the filing before they remember the correction. That's the cost of playing PR chess with legal pieces. Every rumor seeds expectations that lawyers may eventually have to satisfy with actual paper. If you're wondering about money, think structure. Did they have a post-nup, any carve-outs for creative assets, intellectual property, royalties, or brand equity? If yes, the fight lives in the fine print. If no, it lives in valuation. Either way, there's a reason why fans keep hearing figures. It's not because the internet loves math. It's because numbers are the only part of a celebrity relationship that has to balance at the end. Bianca's best ally won't be a headline. It'll be patience. Let him post. Let the timeline implode. Let the court date arrive. When you're the one bringing order, chaos looks like a confession, and juries, real or in the court of public opinion, gravitate to the cleaner story. What about the kids? They're not hers, but her proximity to them shaped public perception. Every school run, every paparazzi moment became a referendum on her choices. If this splits for real, she can step back into her own name, her own work, her own pace. Distancing from the noise isn't just a PR move, it's choosing a future with less collateral damage. Why did tomorrow matter so much in that alleged docket? Because urgency creates inevitability. If you want a story to stick, you put a clock on it. A hearing within 24 hours sounds like momentum, like the first domino tipped. Even if calendars shift or counsel asks for time, that initial sprint sets expectations about who's leading. Think about the last year of Ye headlines. Every new storm tried to outdo the previous one. At some point, the spectacle stops shocking and starts exhausting the audience. That's when allies get quieter and courts get louder. A docket is boring by design. That's its power. In a war of aesthetics and outrage, a stamped page is a sledgehammer. We should also say this outright. The internet is bad at boundaries. It wants blood or fairy tales, nothing in between. But real life sits in the gray. Maybe the docket is real, maybe it's not. Maybe it's a draft that escaped before it was ready. Regardless, the timeline points in one direction. A relationship struggling in public, a brand straining under the weight of its own storms, and two people who can't live inside the same headline anymore. There's a world where both walk away with their dignity and their paperwork intact. It requires restraint. It requires silence. It requires treating trust as something you protect instead of a weapon you wield. Celebrity culture rarely rewards that, but courts do. If you're Team Bianca, your job is simple. Keep receipts, stay consistent, and don't chase the meme. If you're Team Ye, ask a harder question. What's the win? Is it control of the narrative for a week or control of your legacy for a decade? Because those two plays are starting to look mutually exclusive. We'll keep it 100. No one outside those rooms knows every detail, but we know enough to map the pressure points, the February denials, the April plea in a song, the summer heat around lawsuits, and now an August image of a docket that may have pushed everything into motion. It's not a mystery, it's a progression. So here's the endgame if this heads where it looks like it's headed. The villain loses goodwill, leverage, and the benefit of the doubt. The hero gains boundaries, a life raft, and a public tired of chaos. The filings will either confirm what we're seeing or expose what we missed. Either way, the internet will pick a side, and the court will pick a date. Remember the hook from the top? Filing first matters. Breach of trust matters. The tomorrow hearing matters. But the lesson matters more. Trust isn't a headline, it's a ledger. Spend it recklessly, and one day you wake up to see it itemized on a page you can't spin. That's when a relationship stops being a story and becomes a case. We'll watch the calendar, we'll track the statements, and when the official records are public, we'll bring the receipts you can pause, read, and save. Until then, draw your own line. The one where your piece weighs more than somebody else's spectacle. Villain aimed to destroy hero, but ultimately destroyed themselves.